Have you ever walked into the office and noticed the energy shift? Maybe conversations suddenly quiet down when you approach, or you're not included in lunch invites as often as others. And here's the kicker, you have no idea why. You're doing your work, being professional, but somehow, you can feel that subtle distance from your coworkers. Here's what might be happening. You could be doing things that annoy your colleagues without even realizing it. Not because you're a bad person, absolutely not. But because office dynamics are tricky, and sometimes our best intentions come across completely wrong. Today, we're talking about 3 seemingly harmless habits that might be making your coworkers dislike you, and more importantly, how to fix them. Because let's face it, work is hard enough without having to navigate unnecessary tension with the people you spend 40+ hours a week with. The first habit is something I call the over-explainer. You know who I'm talking about, maybe it's even you. This is when someone responds to a simple "How was your weekend?" with a 15-minute monologue about every minute detail. Or when asked for a status update, they give you the entire backstory of the project since its inception in 1992. Here's why this bothers people. In an office environment, time is precious. When you take 10 minutes to say what could be said in 1, you're essentially telling your coworkers that your time is more valuable than theirs. And the crazy part? Most over-explainers do this because they're anxious about being misunderstood or want to show how hard they're working. The fix is simpler than you think. Before responding to any question, pause and ask yourself, what's the key information they need? Give that first, then stop. If they want more details, they'll ask. This one small change will make your coworkers breathe a sigh of relief every time you start speaking. Now, the second habit is sneakier because it often comes from a place of enthusiasm. I call it the meeting hijacker. This is when someone that may be you turns every discussion into their personal platform. Maybe you jump in before others finish speaking, or you dominate brainstorming sessions with a flood of ideas that don't let others contribute. What's happening here is you're accidentally signaling that your ideas matter more than anyone else's. Even if that's not your intention, that's how it feels to your teammates. The irony? The people who do this are often the most passionate and engaged employees, qualities every company wants. Here's how to adjust. Practice the 1 for 3 rule. For every one idea you share, consciously make space for 3 from others. Count it out if you have to at first. When you notice yourself interrupting, say, "Sorry, I interrupted you, what were you saying?" This shows respect while still allowing your great ideas to shine. Now, these first 2 habits are common, but the third one we'll talk about next is the most surprising of all, because it's something nearly all of us do when we're stressed or busy, without realizing how much it impacts how others see us. That third habit I mentioned? It's what I call the ghost. No, not the fun Halloween kind. I'm talking about when someone, maybe you, becomes nearly invisible in the office except when absolutely necessary. The ghost arrives right on time, puts their head down, never engages in small talk, and leaves the second the clock hits 5. Here's why this backfires. While you might think you're being the perfect professional by staying laser-focused, your coworkers are likely interpreting this as standoffishness or even arrogance. In office culture, those little moments of connection, asking about someone's kid's soccer game, chatting while making coffee, are what build trust and camaraderie. Without them, people start to wonder if you even want to be part of the team. The solution isn't to become the office social butterfly if that's not your style. Instead, try the 5-minute connection strategy. Once a day, intentionally spend 5 minutes on non-work interaction. Ask one colleague about their weekend plans. Compliment someone's presentation. These tiny investments pay huge dividends in how people perceive you. Now let's talk about a habit that's especially common among new employees eager to prove themselves, the eager beaver. This is when someone, maybe you, volunteers for every extra project, stays late constantly, and sends emails at midnight. You think you're showing dedication, but here's what your coworkers are actually seeing. You're making them look bad by comparison, and worse, you're potentially raising expectations for everyone. The fix here is about strategic visibility. Instead of saying yes to everything, choose 1 or 2 high-impact opportunities to go above and beyond. When asked about other things, try, "I'd love to help, but I want to give my current projects the attention they deserve." This shows professionalism while protecting your boundaries. Now, here's the most important thing to remember about all these habits: they stem from good intentions. And that's exactly why we need to talk about how to make these changes without losing what makes you a great employee and colleague in the first place. The beautiful thing about these workplace habits is that they all come from good places: your enthusiasm, your work ethic, your desire to do well. That's why fixing them isn't about changing who you are, but rather about channeling those great qualities in ways that build bridges instead of walls. Let's talk about implementation. Changing habits is hard, especially when you've developed them as coping mechanisms in stressful work environments. The key is to start small. Pick one habit to focus on this week. Maybe it's practicing the 1 for 3 rule in meetings, or doing your 5-minute connection each morning. Small, consistent changes create big shifts in how others perceive you over time. Here's something else crucial to remember: office dynamics vary wildly from place to place. What's considered over-explaining in one company might be the norm in another. That's why the most important skill isn't following specific rules, but developing your social radar. Notice how people react when you speak. Pay attention to who gets included versus who gets overlooked. This awareness will guide you better than any rigid set of rules. Before we wrap up, I want to acknowledge something important. If you're recognizing yourself in these habits, you might be feeling a little defensive or embarrassed right now, and that's completely normal. But here's what I want you to know: the fact that you're even watching this video shows you're the kind of person who cares about being a good coworker. That alone puts you ahead of most people. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these habits resonated most? Have you noticed any of them in your coworkers? No naming names. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else navigating these tricky workplace dynamics. If this video gave you some useful insights, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing for more content about thriving in your career without losing yourself in the process. Remember, work is about people as much as it's about tasks. By being mindful of these small habits, you're not just making yourself more likable, you're creating a better work environment for everyone. And that's something worth striving for. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.